does anybody know what you're putting like real people through? Kind of, especially when you're posting like disgusting stuff. Do you have any idea that other people have to watch that for a living?
Welcome back to Other People's Lives. I'm Joe Santagato.
I'm Greg Dybec.
For anyone out there that wants to be a part of the show, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can email us directly at oplpodcast@gmail.com or go to our website, oplshow.com, and send us an email through there.
Yeah, and if you want to support the show while getting bonus content, you can head over to patreon.com/OPL show. You'll get weekly behind the scenes episodes, and you'll also be part of our charity initiative called Helping Other People, where we take a portion of each month's Patreon funds and donate it to a charity or come up with kind of a charitable venture together. So you'll get to be part of that and give back monthly, as well as get that bonus content. So to jump into today's episode, really interested for this topic. It's something that we didn't really know existed. So we're going to be speaking with someone who, I guess you could say, works on the other end of social media. So she's a social media content controller, and I'll kind of let her explain exactly what that means. But in general, it's kind of monitoring, I guess, the videos that get posted to this particular site, the things that kind of get flagged, reported. So based on the email we got, it's someone who really sees, I would say, the kind of dark side of social media and things that maybe don't always make it to our screens. So really interesting. I think we're going to learn a lot of things that we didn't know about, platforms that we kind of use every day. So we've got the guests on the line, and thanks for being on today.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So I guess two questions to start. One is social media content controller. Can you explain what that means? And then also, are you able to say which social media platform you work for?
I'm not going to name the name because I actually had to sign an NDA where I'm not at all allowed to talk about my job, not even to like close friends and family, and certainly not on a podcast.
All right.
But I basically work for a platform. Let's say it's videos up to 1 minute for a target audience of teens, like 13 to 17-year-olds. And I think everybody can go from that and figure out kind of what platform I'm working for. And I basically sit in my chair with my laptop and watch videos that are being uploaded in my particular area, in like my country. And videos that get reported by other users, mostly from all over the world, where they're tagging it for like hate speech or for gory content or sexual stuff, things like that.
So what exactly are for the most part, is it a bunch of videos that are actually bad, or is it you're spending the most part of your day sort of approving these videos that were wrongfully reported?
I would say we have like different queues that the videos are being put in. So you have like a queue with mostly like hate speech videos and bullying videos, and one with like more heavy content, and one with just like videos that are being uploaded. And I'm mostly trying to work in like the bullying and hate speech category because it's pretty easy, because it's usually like 10-year-old kids calling each other names, which is very clear that's just bullying, and I can tag it for bullying, and then it gets like deleted, and I'm on the safe side. And the hate speech, of course, a lot of racism. So I would say if I'm working on that queue, I tag about like 60 to 70% of the videos are not okay and not suitable for the platform, and 30% are just, I don't know, Janine from my math class, and I'm just gonna report all her stuff for hate speech. And it's just, I don't know, girl riding a horse. It doesn't really matter.
Interesting. This is interesting because, unless it's just me, and I don't know, Joe, I don't know if you were kind of like aware of this, but I feel like when we use these kind of popular social media platforms, it's like the human element that we think of is the people creating the content that are posting this. And then it just always feels like everything else is like the algorithm. Everyone says like it's the algorithm, like it's a computer doing all this work. Like it's interesting to me that there's people like yourself, I guess specifically in different countries, and probably not just one person per country, but a lot of people that are getting employed to like physically go through and like see and flag and check all these videos. Like that's way more of a human element than I imagined for these platforms.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have this moment so often when I see like little kids with their iPhones out in public, or if something bigger happens, like I don't know if there's a specific political topic that's going on, especially in Europe, because I'm from Europe. I know, I just sit there and I'm like, oh God, I'm going to see that. I'm going to see so much content about that. It's going to be bullshit. It's going to be bullshit. It's all going to be bullshit. And I have those moments where I'm like, does anybody know what you're putting like real people through? Kinda, especially when you're posting like disgusting stuff. Do you have any idea that other people have to watch that for a living?
I don't think most people do know that. That's what's so interesting.
I also was pretty convinced that it was more based on sort of an algorithm, and a computer took care of most of this, but I guess not. Like I thought that, whatever, platform we're talking about, I thought all of them kind of ran off of this. Like there's certain words that will like automatically get your video taken down, or there's, if you have text on a video or, anything like that, then it's like a computer just kind of goes through and can, recognize a word or whatever and just get it taken down. But from what you're saying, there's a complete human element to this where actual people are approving or disapproving these videos.
Yeah, pretty much. For my platform, we have an algorithm, but that algorithm, of course, has to learn. And it learns by watching us. So, for example, I think this is a pretty good example. I don't know if you guys know about the Facebook live stream suicide of Ronnie McNutt.
No.
That is in my category of worst things I've seen so far. It was a live stream of a guy who shot himself in the head with a shotgun live on Facebook.
Wow.
And you can absolutely, like 100% see what happens if you take a shotgun blast to the face. It's not fun. And that got posted on every single social media platform. So I'm not compromising myself by telling you this story. And that got posted a bunch to the platform I'm working on. Just the clip of him shooting himself in the face. And our algorithm took about, I think, a month to learn like the specific like frames and everything of that video. And then the algorithm kind of takes care of the video. But before that, the content moderators have to watch it a lot and moderate it a lot. So
you have to train the algorithm essentially. Like this video is bad. Anytime that you notice this one, have it taken down. Yeah.
But people get clever about it, so they hide it, or they put like there's the bigger video, and then they put like the little suicide video up in the corner or something, or they just put like a split second of like just one frame of just the shotgun blast or something in the middle of an otherwise completely harmless video. So you really have to watch it, and you really have to pay attention to that, and the algorithm doesn't pick up on that. So I've seen that video, I think, about 15 times, 15 to like 20 or something.
Jeez, that's like, this job doesn't seem easy. It also seems like if that's the case, if that's just one of many videos that you've seen so many times, and there's people out there trying to re-upload it for some reason, like is that emotionally taxing on you?
Yes. There's no way of putting this in any other way. Yes, it is. There's two elements to this job being emotionally taxing, or like sometimes it's even physically taxing. Element number one, of course, is I watch terrible things and I get sad about them. That is, the suicides and the worst thing for me is the animal cruelty. That's one video where I had to get up and cry into the fur of my golden retriever, because I had to remind myself that she's okay and not all dogs are being treated like that. That was one I had real problems with. And the other side is I've been doing this job for like a year, and you start to lose any faith in humanity that you ever had. And that is the more taxing thing, is you get very disillusioned with where humanity could go and what our options are. And you know what I'm saying? It's very tough because you kind of see like the worst of people.
Right.
All the time.
Right. And it's like, and so many of us see that based on like how our own feeds across social media are kind of curated, but it's like, you know, where it kind of just becomes like a microcosm of the world. Like, so we think based on, you know, what we see, whichever way, you know, our news is leaning or things like that. But for you, it's like, you're the first line of defense, seeing most of the things that none of us will ever see because it got stopped, hopefully, before seeing it. And it's just, you know, it reminds me in a way of when we spoke with the woman who answered 911 calls for a living. It's like someone on the front lines that is just getting such a majority of just like negativity throughout their day, kind of, and they have to act as that sort of like human filter, and that, yeah, emotionally, physically, I mean, that's got to be draining, and like you said, just kind of losing hope, because I'm sure you start assuming, you know, this is what humanity is. This is what, you know, most people are like. They're willing to, you know, post videos like this or have hate speech or perform animal cruelty and things like that.
I just had this conversation actually recently where I was saying, you know, I think social media in general is just like very bad for the same reasons, where every time you go on there, you know, there's some tragedy, you know, who's a pedophile, who's doing this, who's doing that, and then who's getting canceled, and who's, you know, it's like constant. It's all, you know, it's the drama, it's the bad things that are happening in the world that, of course, these things should be, you know, taken care of, and, you know, justice should be served. But when, like, as a consumer, when you're constantly being served like all this negativity, like, that does something to you, unless you're like a sociopath and you have no like emotional attachment to this information. Like, yeah, you don't know about, you know, you didn't know the 6-year-old in the Bronx that got killed by a straight bullet, but you can, like, a part of you as a human being is like, that is so sad, and you think about the family and this and that, and like constantly getting that sort of information is, you know, it's hard on people. And I don't think that a lot of people who use social media like really address that until it's like you've already developed depression, anxiety, and these sort of, or like social anxiety because of this sort of thing. And for you, it's like, you know, we're getting the version, like, I'm talking about being affected by the version that's being filtered. Like, you're purposefully going out of your way to see the worst of the worst to protect everyone from it, and it's still having an effect on people. So I can only imagine for someone who has to actually be like on the front lines essentially, and, you know, put themselves in a chair and have to watch all this stuff, like, that's got to be tough to deal with.
Well, the thing is, other people get to log off. Other people get to decide to not, you know, go on Twitter today because today something bad happened, somebody got accused of something, and they just get to log off. And I don't. I spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in a chair watching this, and I mean, I'm getting paid well at least, but still, it's a lot, definitely. And it's not even like the specific instances of something happening and people reacting to it that are really tough. It's more like a general climate of sexism and racism, and especially the sexism and racism. Like, the sexism really gets to me sometimes. It's just like the most misogynistic shit you can find, and it's and you have to watch it, and you feel like they're talking to you because you sit there and you're a woman, of course. And the first thing that actually happened to me, you know, being influenced by this job, is that I started hating children. This is very bad. I'm trying not to, but
why is that?
Because kids post the dumbest shit. It's just a fact. They're so mean to each other and so rude, and they have no idea what they're doing, no idea what they're talking about, and they're all acting like they're really, really important. You're like, no, you're not. You're 12. You're not even allowed to be on the platform. Go away. And that is kind of the first thing that happened to me, and I have to. So that is also an emotionally taxing thing. I have to remind myself that not everybody is like this. Not all men are like this. Not all children are like this. Not everyone is like the people that I have to watch every day.
When you were getting hired for this job, did they mention any of this, of being like, you know, like what was the vetting process? And also, is there any sort of like wellness checks or anything?
Nope. No, not really. They told me, well, you have to kind of, you have to watch videos, and it's we have a psychologist that you can call 24/7. And that's kind of where I started getting the idea of, oh, if you have a psychologist I can call 24/7, like a therapist, are the videos I'm watching, are they like really bad? And they're like, it's okay. It's okay. It's mostly going to be bullying and hate speech. And they were right. It's mostly bullying and hate speech. It's like 80% bullying and hate speech, but the 20% is suicide, pedophilia, and animal cruelty. So the 20% are that's what packs the punch. And then you have like 3 weeks of training, and there you get like a little taste of the videos you might potentially see. But then it just starts. They just drop you in that, and it's just.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much training, I guess, until you start experiencing it. Wow.
But I think what might also be interesting is that I know like the people that I'm working with and the people that trained with me at the same time, and we were 25 people, and it's me and 2 other guys that are left after a year.
That's crazy turnover. Wow.
All dropped out, and I know of 2 that dropped out because they said I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore because sometimes it's really soul crushing. It's the combination of stupidity of other people and insane boredom.
So why are you still there?
Honestly, because I'm working from home with this job, so I can be kind of anywhere where there's Wi-Fi, and it pays really well. And I studied in a field. I got this job when I about 2 months after I got my bachelor's degree, because I couldn't find any other job because we're living in a pandemic. The country where I'm from has very strict lockdown rules, and it's still going on here. And I come from the field of like theater and arts and cultural studies, and there's not a lot of like events you can manage or anything because nothing's really happening. So I can't really find another job. I have to keep doing this job because there's just nothing else for me to do at the moment.
Is it something that, you for sure will move away from as soon as you can?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As soon as I get a job that pays as well, or at least okay, in a field that I actually want to work in, I will, without hesitation, immediately drop this job.
And I meant that as sort of, why are you there in terms of like, is there any positivity that you are able to pull from this role of like, I guess just the work that you're doing? Like, does it have any, meaning, or do you find it that it's kind of helpful work that you're doing? Not just like, go get another job, because it's obviously not always that easy, but is there anything that kind of sort of counterbalances the negativity? I
mean, you kind of said it before. I at least, if I have to watch it, at least nobody else has to. So that is kind of a thing, and that doesn't even just go for like the really heavy shit. That also goes for like the bullying and the hate speech, because I know there's people that would be way more affected by it than I am. And I can kind of compartmentalize it, I guess. And I can kind of remove it from myself. And I just, when I get done with work, I just take my dog, I go for a long walk, and I try to reconnect with, touch grass, with the real world, and kind of forget about my job. So yeah, I guess that's a thing. And once in a blue moon, I get a video that's really, really fucking crazy and really funny. Once every 5 weeks, there's something fun.
Jeez.
So what, I guess you kind of covered some broader topics, I guess, that you see, but any kind of videos in particular that, have really stuck with you, that really, sort of changed you in a way?
Yeah. You want to hear my top 5? Because I have a top 5 of bad things.
Yeah. I have a feeling we're gonna wish we didn't hear it, but for the sake of this episode, yeah, let's hear it.
Number 1, number 2 are really, really bad. Well, I think that the least, and this is gonna sound fucking insane, but the least horrible of my top 5 was just straight up child porn.
Okay.
So it's kind of a contestant. It's 2 videos that are both child porn, and I cannot really decide which one was worse. One was I think the girl was around, I would say 11, and it was 2 boys, and they were probably like 13, 14, and they were, you know what spit roasting is?
No.
I mean, I can guess, but I don't want to.
1 dick in the mouth and 1 dick in the coochie. And they were spit roasting her. And I mean, she was, I would guess we have it's also a fun thing. We have kind of like a guide on how to judge how old a child is, because we have to tag anybody that's under 13. So you can kind of see by like the teeth and the ratio of the hands to the body and stuff like that, how old a child is. So I would judge her to be like between 10, 11, maybe 12, but she looked really young. And the 2 boys were like around 13, 15, something that age bracket. Yeah.
Is there anything that you guys can do legally, like report this to authorities or try to like chase an IP address of where this is uploaded or something?
Oh yes, absolutely. That is exactly what happens. That happens in the case of like if somebody has suicidal tendencies, child porn. If you leak somebody's stuff, the platform is really serious about doxing. Like really serious. You get deleted off it immediately if you post anything of somebody else. If you even threaten to post somebody's private address, your account is going to get deleted immediately. So yeah, we inform, because we can see like by the tag where it's from, like the IP address and the region and everything else, and it immediately gets reported to the authorities. Like even in the case of somebody just saying like kind of, oh, if I get another like, I don't know, D in math, I'm going to kill myself, and it gets reported to the authorities.
Wow.
It's like, yeah.
Well, that's really good to hear, and that kind of ties into what we were saying, like to be able to kind of get those, I guess you could call them small wins in a day or a week, where something was brought, to properly brought to attention to the authorities or whoever it may be. That's at least good.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's the child porn clip number 1. Child porn clip number 2 is not really child porn, but it's just really, it makes you really uncomfortable the more you think about it. It was a guy with 2 kids on his lap, like a grown man with 2, I would say they were like around 3 to 4 years old, and a boy and a girl. And I don't know if you guys know, I'm going to ruin this song for so many people. If you guys know the song Bisexual Anthem?
No.
There's a lyric in there that says, do you like fucking boys? Do you like fucking girls? Do you like fucking boys? I like both. And then the song goes on. And that guy was, because the platform uses a lot of music, and the guy was like mouthing the words to the song and like running his hands up the legs of like the 2 kids. And I saw that and I almost threw up in my mouth.
That's
And
so
this
disgusting.
dude is this guy's just posting this with like his name and face out there, like
Yeah, thinking that that's something that people want to see, and that is okay, and it's just gonna happen, and it's just gonna stay online. Like, how delusional, how insane do you have to be? How disconnected from reality do you have to be to think that that is like an okay thing to do?
Yeah, no, that is just. I hope that dude got reported in something.
Yeah, I did. It was me. I reported him immediately, of course.
Jesus.
Yeah, number 4 is just it's a really short one, but it was very impactful. Let's face it. Let's say it like this. I know exactly what happens to a body when it gets hit by a train.
Oh.
It was a video of a guy like wrongfully stepping off the platform, and there was a freight train coming, and it's a security video. So it's we know on the platform by now that it's not fake. So yeah, that was great. Number 3, obviously, is Ronnie McNutt, because head exploding shotgun. That was not cool. Yeah. And number 2 is the one that made me cry, because it was just a guy. I'm sorry for all listeners, everybody that doesn't like bad stuff happening to dogs. Just tune out for like 30 seconds. I'm so sorry about this, but it was a guy stomping on a German Shepherd puppy.
Oh my God.
And that made me it's gonna make me cry. If I think about it more, I'm gonna cry again, because that really fucked me up.
Just you saying that that just made my stomach drop. Like, that makes me feel sick.
Yeah, and it's and that's the worst with the last 2, because the last one is also really terrible, and I'm gonna give like a little suicide warning for everybody, because it's a very bad one. It was a Russian live stream of a teenager, and all you can see is he's sitting on a couch, and he calls for his dad, and you hear a door open, and in that moment he lifts like a hunting rifle and shoots himself in the head, and you can hear the dad scream like this, like just pure anguish of this father. And that's the worst one. The last 2 is the sound, because the video, that is gone. I'm not thinking about that, but the screaming of the puppy and the screaming of that father, it fucked me up so bad.
Yeah, I can't even like imagine. And it's just like, and this is like, it's honestly interesting that we're recording this now, because for the past few weeks I've been just having these conversations about social media as a whole, and it's just very interesting that we're talking about this now, because I'm trying to find the good in social media. I'm having trouble finding it, and then just hearing about these types of things, it just makes me feel like what is driving these people to I don't really want to like talk out of line here, but like I feel like suicide and depression and anxiety, these things like have existed for a long time, probably more now than ever. But what is the reason why people are going to live stream these things, or why are they reposting it? Why are they finding these videos online and then posting them on these accounts? Like, it's just like, to me, that just doesn't feel like human. Like, it feels like they've been brainwashed by something, or they have some sort of issue that social media is kind of like exasperating in a way and making them do these types of things. So it's very hard to like obviously hear these things, and I can only imagine like experiencing them and seeing them, and these kinds of videos I'm sure have existed like throughout the years. Like, there was like these weird stuff when we were like a kid, but there was like 3 videos. Like, this is happening, you're saying, like all the time. Like, your job is to filter these things out, and it's just scary to think about like what's going on out there, and what is almost making it through the cracks for people to be consuming, and what that would do to people if that was just a common thing that happened on the internet, that you would experience all these types of things. Like, it's scary to think about.
Yeah, the really sad thing about like some of the videos I just mentioned is that they weren't in the upload like list of just uploads that we have to check. They were in the reported list. So people had to see them and report them. So they were online. They made it through the cracks, and people have seen them, potentially like thousands of people.
Yeah, it's just terrible.
Yeah, it's wow. Just hearing that, like, I know that wasn't all in one day for you, but to like get up and go back to work, it's crazy. And it's just, I don't know, to your point, Joe, I mean, it's such a tough conversation, because if you kind of just embrace the positivity of it, and the positive videos that are out there, and people being able to connect with people and network, and all the positive aspects of social media as well, but I don't know, it doesn't always feel like the balance is even, when it comes to kind of the negativity that's out there as well. And that's kind of the sad part as well, when that feels like it's overshadowing the positivity that does exist.
I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that social media is all bad. Absolutely not. And I know that's a funny coming from someone doing my job, telling you what I just told you. But I think that social media gives you the great opportunity to be able to kind of find like your people, even if you exist like in a tiny town. Say you're like the only trans person in your town, but through social media you can find other people that have transitioned, and you can kind of gain courage from their story. Or you're, I don't know, a gay guy in a Christian family, let's throw out a cliche, and you can see that other people have made it and that they're happy, and you can get there. And that is why I'm still on social media, and why I go on the app like in my free time and just watch videos and interact like with the community, because I kind of got it. I have to see like the positive side of it too. What just makes me really angry is the callousness of some parents allowing their children on this app. Like, if I ever have children, let's put it that way, my kid is gonna get their first smartphone when they're fucking 16. No, it's just not going to happen. I don't think anybody really realizes what tiny children get up to on the internet. It's really, and I know I sound like a boomer, but I don't care. I do this for a living. And there's like 8-year-old kids doing the fucking WAP dance. And you're like, do you have any idea who's jerking off to that? Do you have any fucking idea? No, you don't. Stop. And that's what I usually do. I try not to get sad at my job. I just get really, really angry at parents.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that could kind of, whatever. I actually have faith in that, I think it should be literally illegal for children that young to have access to all of the information in the world. Like, there's a reason, like, I just don't understand how you can't see a certain movie, it's rated R because someone gets shot and it's fake and we all know it's fake, it's a movie, but you have access to the entire internet. Like, your parents won't let you see an R-rated movie, or the movie theater won't let you in, but your parents will just hand you this device where you can look up literally anything you want in the world, you will find it, but they won't let you go see it. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And the fact that there's just no regulation in that regard, like, it's on the parents, obviously, but I think that eventually, after this spirals out of control, which I think that's inevitable, where, I know teenage suicide rates are through the roof, and it comes at the same time as the social media boom. Like, that's not a coincidence. So I think that eventually there is going to have to be some sort of like mandatory, like, you have to be this age in order to get the entire access of the internet. Like, you could do parental locks on your TV or certain types of things, but it's kind of like up to you. It's optional. But I think that should be like mandatory, because when you're 12 years old, you don't understand the world or the effect that things are going to have on you, like the certain things that you see. So like, yeah, I mean, it's crazy,
we can't ignore it. Like, it's too vague to just try to put it in one bucket and blame social media or say social media is good or bad. But the intentions behind the creation of these technologies and these platforms, even if the intentions were positive, the outcome and what we're experiencing now, and like you said, with mental health and the effect that it has, like, these are so new. Like, we're learning in real time. We don't know what the long-term effects of having this technology and these platforms in our hands, we don't know what that's going to be. We're going to literally have to learn. Like, this generation that's growing up with it now and only knows that, like, they're the guinea pigs for this. But, even if it was well-intentioned, the technology behind it, like, this is a new responsibility that we have to live with, like, as we begin to understand the effects that this can have on people. And maybe that's parents deciding when to give a kid a cell phone or whatever it may be. But I think it's a responsibility that, we can't ignore in kind of the decisions that we make of how we interact with these platforms, how we let children interact with it, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you, Joe. Like, there's no need for a 12-year-old to have like the literal library of Alexandria in their hands. You don't need that kind of information. You're 12, go eat some sand like everybody else. It's just it's so unnecessary.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, this was super eye-opening. I mean, I did not even know that this existed, someone in your role, to be honest.
Yeah, this also just kind of like, like I said, this has literally have been the topic of conversation for me for the past few weeks, and this coming at a time where I'm talking about it even like plays into it even more of, everything that I've been thinking about it, and just have the effects that it has. Like, I feel like you were saying, Greg, like, obviously it's not all bad. Like, yeah, being able to communicate with people in Australia is like good in theory, but you don't realize, like, I think these platforms are made for good intentions, but with a complete like disregard of what bad things could happen. And it was just like, these are all good, let's just keep streamlining this and making it easier and faster. And then now we're kind of, like you said, learning as we go of like, oh, there's serious consequences that come along with these things.
It's a health issue, no? Like, a pack of cigarettes or alcohol says, like, warning, this may kill you, or this can have this effect on you and your body. And it's like, at some point, like, we're going to have to look at the internet, technology, and social media as something like that also, that's having very real effects, like mentally, physically, for people. It's not simple, obviously, how to approach or handle this, but I think just the recognition of like, okay, there's a serious impact that this is having, and some of it very negative on certain people. I don't know how to address it, but I think it's something that's going to have to get addressed.
You could even argue that it's worse than like cigarettes, because back in the day they used to have like doctors be like, yeah, no, it's good for you, it's like whatever. Like, it's it was ridiculous. But now it's like no one's talking about this, like no one's like doing whatever, and in fact they're doing the opposite. They're targeting you for all of the things that you like or you show an interest in. They're finding out what you like, and then they put that in front of you so you stay on it longer. And they have all these flashing lights and these things, and they're like, there's a legitimate science behind manipulating the mind to keep you locked in. Like, that's like not what happened with cigarettes. With cigarettes, they're like, oh, tell doctors and this and that. It's like, okay, cool. And then as you learned, then it was like, okay, we need to, start warning people or this and that. And then, obviously now much less people smoke. I mean, some still do, but at least we know like the ramifications of it. Like, this is like going in the opposite direction. They're like, yeah, I know. Like, let's just keep finding new ways to make them spend money and more time on this thing, and just keep giving everyone access to everything in the world, every bad thing that's ever happened. Like, it's not good. Like, it's just inevitable that this is going to go sideways.
Yeah, the thing is that I'm thinking about right now is because you said that maybe the apps were created like with good intentions, but changed. I don't think that any kind of moral intention in any kind of way was ever thought about while creating a social media app. Not even Facebook, because Facebook was created to, kind of rate if girls are hot. So there is no good or bad intention here. The intention is just to sell you. And I don't mean sell anything to you, because you're being sold. You are the product in social media. And I don't think that there is any thought about like if it's good or bad. The app I'm working for is, we get so many emails of like, okay, you have to tag this, but don't tag this. This is very important, that you kind of let this slip through the cracks and be like, oh, no, it's not that bad, but this one you really have to watch out for. This is not really for the good of the people, what I'm doing here. I am telling myself that it is, because that's what gets me through my 8-hour shift, but it's very much not. It's for the good of the app.
It's for the good of the app and the bottom line, and that's it. I mean, of course, they make money, and they're so tied into all industries and businesses now that it's these platforms and technologies that are essentially propping up economies at this point, which is why it's so hard to, change. And I think that, to that point that you just said too, and that's the other layer on top of all of this, is, do these platforms now then get to decide what speech can be heard and what speech can't be heard? And it's going in such an insane direction. It's going to be interesting how it works itself out, if it does, at all, or what kind of regulations get put in place, or what gets decided. But it's it's scary, and it's a fast moving train, I guess you could say. And I don't know. I don't think anyone knows how to stop it, and I don't think anyone knows where it's going.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, well, we really do appreciate you coming on the show and talking to us and like shedding light on this, because up until this point, like I said, I thought it was just a computer and algorithm, but there are people out there that are sort of dealing with this. And as bad as social media is, I actually just put out a poll, and I was like, do you think social media is good or bad? And it was 80% of people said it was bad. And a lot of people were just like, but we're all using it anyway. And they were like, it's ironic that this is posted on social media, blah, blah, blah. But it's also funny, like I said before, that like it's bad. Like we're all acknowledging that it's bad, but it's like it could be way worse. And if there isn't like the filtering out of these things, then it would be like way more obvious to people, I guess, that like, oh man, this is not good. Like we shouldn't be consuming this all the time, like regardless of whatever, this and that. Like there are other ways to keep in touch with people in 2021 rather than through social media, where you're also getting all of these damaging things. So yeah, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us. Super interesting. And like I said, it was really just perfect timing for me, because this is kind of like what I've been talking about with my friends and whatnot recently. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you guys very much. It was really fun talking to you.
Yeah, no, it was really great, eye-opening, and yeah, I need a drink now, to be honest. That was it was intense. So, but no, thank you for sharing everything. And I know, like you said in the beginning, obviously you can't say the exact platform you work for, and you signed an NDA and all these rules. So thank you for going out of the way to say as much as you could possibly say, and choosing us as that platform.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem. I hope I'm not gonna get sued.
Well, all right, hope not. This conversation never happened, if so.
No, burn the tapes.
All right, well, thank you so much. Guys, summer is finally upon us. I know for me and a lot of you, that means traveling and exploring new places. And whether it's work or play, you should be taking your Raycon earbuds with you. I have a big trip coming up to Oregon, Montana, and Colorado. Super excited. I'm going to be hiking, camping, being super active, and my wireless Raycon earbuds are going to be with me every step of the way. I love to listen to music when I'm exploring, working out, traveling, and Raycon gives you powerful and crisp sound at half the price of other premium audio brands. They have customizable gel tips for the perfect fit, seamless Bluetooth pairing, and a compact charging case. Plus, they have 24-hour battery life and are super portable, so they never die on me. I bring them to work, the gym, trips, anything. Every single day, I go a full day without them ever dying, which is incredible. And right now, Raycon's offering 15% off all their products for OPL listeners. Just go to buyraycon.com/OPL and you'll get 15% off your entire Raycon order. That's RAYCON. That's 15% off at buyraycon.com/OPL. buyraycon.com/OPL.
Man, oh man, just another one of those episodes where you don't really think about that there's someone actually doing this job.
Yeah, that's I think the takeaway. It's I mean, this is such a vague topic in terms of like social media as a whole that we could go on forever, and we've talked about a lot of these things, but to kind of bring it back to what we just spoke about, like, wow, like that's one top of my list for like interesting jobs that you really don't consider are even out there.
Yeah, because think about it, like even like for us, right, we do this show, and like sometimes we get a lot of like emails where people deal with this and that, but it's like not video, not sound, not like the experience behind it. Like we do get certain emails or whatever, but also in the sense of we get to interview interesting people all the time. Every single week we do it, and we learn so much about people with that, mm-hmm. and it's not always like horrible things. It's just interesting things, like what makes people unique, and that's the point of our show. But when you have this, where it's like it's kind of the same thing. Like you're learning about something that like my friends who don't listen to this show, I know more about a lot of things because of this show than they would. And now people who do that job that no one fucking knows about, because these videos barely see the light of day, they know so much about the world too. But like the negative impact, you know, like of like these type of people exist out there. They're doing this, like, you know, that's a lot to weigh on someone's mind, and to wake up every day and like that's your job 8 hours a day is to filter through these things. And like she said, most of it's like the bullying and, you know, whatever, of like children doing that to each other. Like, dude, that's got to be like insanely tough. Like that's a tough thing to see. Like children just like going after each other on social media. Like it's not good.
Yeah, and even that kind of glimpse, like, again, it's hard because you're seeing the worst of the worst, so you don't want to generalize and you don't want to categorize as like, this is how kids are now, this is how kids are growing up, or this is the effect that social media is having on kids and they're turning them into this type of way. And sure, that's not true for everyone. You can't use that as a blanket statement, but it is a little bit of a glimpse into like what this generation that's only growing up with this like instant access to the internet, social media, validating, you know, themselves based on social media. Like it's like kind of the only glimpse we have of what this can do to children, to generations. It's scary. It's interesting. And, you know, for her, I really, really hope, like, she seems like she has a sense of humor, and I just hope that she is able to, you know, brush it off in a way and just keep her mental health stable, because it's a skill if she's able to do that, you know, and like not necessarily comparing it to like doctors or anything like that, or like the 911 dispatcher, but you know, it does take a certain type of person to be able to kind of manage that sort of negativity, do what needs to be done with it, but be able to separate themselves for it. And I hope she's doing that, you know, for her own mental health, because wow, it's intense.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, like, you know, I think that like everyone should be in therapy. I'm one of those people that think that everyone should do it, just because, you know, I mean, I've been doing therapy for over a year, and it's just kind of like working out, but for your brain. And if you're in, you know, I talk to my therapist all the time about social media and like the negative impact that it has on people, or like not necessarily on me, but that I've seen it happen to other people and what it does. And especially like it bothers me so much to see children just completely dependent on it, and like their self-worth is wrapped up into this thing that, because I grew up for most of my formidable years without it, and then got into it, and like luckily at that time like treated it like a job basically.
Right.
I was more interested in like, you know, building a thing, not really just being online just to be online, just to garner attention. It was more so like, you know, whatever. So I can see the difference between those things, the contrast, and it's very it's heartbreaking to see.
Aren't you
these
thankful
kids.
for that, like, every day though?
Dude, you have no idea, because
I think about it all the time.
Right, I talk about it every day, all the social media shit and how it bothers me and like whatever, and it's like it takes a toll on me sometimes, and not because, you know, I'm, you know, whatever, like it's not like super dramatic. It's like a very slow sort of thing that I'm realizing that like this is just bad, like for people, and people don't realize it. You know what I mean? If like there's a cliff and someone's slowly walking towards it, and you could see them every day, they're inching closer, and you'd be like, dude, just like you're gonna fall, like it's gonna be bad, like you're gonna, you know, there's gonna be some sort of anxiety or something that you're gonna develop from this if you're just like a sensitive person, you know, like this is all very sensitive things to hear all the time. Like, think about, like, talking about like a Debbie Downer, or like, you know, these types of things where you make fun of people for always having bad news, whatever. It's like, that is what social media is. Like, there's zero compassion. It's just all bad news. It's all like headlines, people, and it's all revolved around money. I'm trying to get you to click on this. Here's like 2 words, and it's a negative headline without any sort of context. It's like, that's what communication has become, and it's so bad. And the like long form conversations in person with like compassion and energy or whatever are just like a thing of the past, and it's just not good for like the long term. And just wrapping it back to this girl, having to deal with the worst parts of the internet all of the time, like that process is just expedited for her. You know what I mean? Like, you're just constantly getting this bad stuff. Like, I would never be able to do that. Like, I consider myself like a pretty strong person, but not that strong. Like, I would last like a month in that job before I'd been like, yo, I'm out. I'll go homeless before I continue doing this, because.
And for her, it's like, I know we keep like tying it directly to social media because that's her job, but in a way for her, it's almost just like, yes, it's appearing on a platform, but she's also just seeing the worst of people, social media or not. You know, these are people doing things. This is pedophilia. This is animal abuse. Seeing mental health decline to the worst possible outcome, suicide and things like that. Like, that's what's even harder is like there's no finger to just point at social media with what she's seeing. It's a huge part of it, but it's also like, wow, like some people are evil, or wow, some people are really struggling more than most people can even imagine. And it's just crazy. I don't even know what to say beyond that.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I don't think that I don't think it's natural for humans to have to deal with that, though. Like, I understand that like social media just gives it all a platform to be put out there. But like, people shouldn't have to deal with that. Like, it would be like, on your birthday, like everyone's happy, you're about to blow out your candles, and people are like, oh, like there's people dying of starvation in Africa. And it's like, why would you tell me that now? Like, what is, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yes, we should fix that. Yes, that's a problem. And, we've donated and we've, but it's like, when something good happens, that doesn't mean that you're just like, oh, but this is happening, or like there's terrible things happening all over the world. There's suffering, there is this and that, but humans, they can't deal with every single problem all of the time. And now with social media, it's like you've given a platform for this, and especially now people feel like they have to give their opinion on everything. They have to, like, whatever, and that's a whole other conversation. But it's just, all of it to me just seems very negative, and it's all revolved around either money or negativity or drama. And like, all of those things, it's like, if you only focused on those things, you drive yourself insane, which we all are. So inevitably,
there's it's like a tree with a lot of branches, and sure, some of them are positive, but a lot of them are, kind of the things that you just covered, and it's just constantly growing in all these different directions. And like we said with her, to wrap it up, we don't know where it goes, and that's the scary part, because there's no history to look back at, for something like this. But yeah, it's a very interesting job.
Definitely.
Very interesting job.
For anyone out there that wants to be a part of the show, like I said earlier, you can reach out to us, go to our website, oplshow.com, or just send us an email directly at oplpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and become a patron at patreon.com/OPL show if you want those bonus episodes, if you want to be part of our charitable venture each month called Helping Other People, where you get to be part of the decision making of where we donate this money, what we use this money for, giving back to charities, donating items, giving back to previous guests. We kind of want to cover it all, so come join that conversation.
Yeah, and that is all. We'll see you guys next time.